Welcome to Budget Beauty, where I help you look flawless for less. Welcome back, and a very special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen, and this is Budget Beauty. We do everything beauty on a budget, and that includes testing new makeup releases. Now, I talked about this particular new makeup release in my new makeup releases video that I put out every Saturday, and I asked if you guys were interested in seeing a review, and a lot of you said yes, yes, yes. It was something I was definitely interested in, so I picked it up, plus a little bonus item that I'm going to share my review with you as well. And that is the Natasha Denona My Dream Mini Release. So she released a mini 5-pan eyeshadow palette, and she released a blush highlighter trio. So there's actually 2 different blushes in here and a highlight, as well as the 5-pan palette. And while I was shopping Natasha Denona, I went ahead and picked up the Viral High Glam Concealer. So many people rave about this and say it's really truly the best concealer they've ever tried. And so I picked that up as well. Now, it is the concealer that I'm wearing today. I'm going to give you close-ups and give you my review on the concealer, and then we will do an eye look with the eyeshadow palette. We'll test out the blush and highlight. So if you're excited, give this video a big, huge thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, your bell notification is turned on, because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. I will link the Natasha Denona My Dream Minis as well as the High Glam Concealer down below for you for easy shopping, as well as all of the other makeup that I'm wearing in today's video. If you would like to recreate the entire look, my favorite beauty subscription boxes, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and of course, don't forget, come on over, follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. So I'm gonna zoom you in. Let's do our eye look, test out the blush and highlighter, and discuss this High Glam concealer. Like I said, this is the concealer on my eyes today. I've been wearing it now for a couple of weeks, so I have a pretty good, honest review about the concealer for you. But before we dive into reviewing these products, we must test out the little Natasha Denona My Dream Glow Blush Trio. I will go ahead and insert close-ups of everything here for you. This essentially is one pan that has a deeper kind of rosy mauve blush, and then a little bit lighter pink dusty rose blush, as well as this really beautiful highlighter. Now, you can use this little trio in multiple ways. You can mix it all together for a glowy blush. You can pick up just the deeper shade, the lighter shade, or just the highlighter, whatever your preference is. Everything's swatched really nicely. I do think that this middle blush shade all by itself is probably a little bit too light for my skin tone. I have about a light to medium skin tone. If you're fair or have a light skin tone, it'll probably look beautiful on you. But for me, just having a little bit more light to medium, it's a bit light for me. So I'm really going to focus on using the deeper pink, and then we are going to exclusively use the highlight because it swatched beautifully, and I need to know if it's that Scene from Space highlighter. So I have my blush brush. This is a pretty fluffy brush, so it is going to be a little hard to get into just that pink shade, but I don't mind mixing them together either. And let's put on the blush. I don't really see anything. Yeah, I don't see much. Okay. Shifting my head, okay, I can see the pink. So there's the side I did the blush on, there's the side that I didn't. So it is definitely a little bit of a lighter shade of blush, so it's not going to work for all skin tones. I will, however, say that it's very natural looking. It melted right into my skin. I mean, it looks really, really nice on the skin, and it is buildable. So I am able to go back into the blush and get a little bit more opacity. Actually really like it. I wasn't sure at first if it was going to be deep enough for me, but because I can build it up, it's really beautiful. It's a pink shade that I don't have in my collection, and I love that it just sunk into the skin. And now let's test out the highlighter. So I have a highlighter brush here from Unearthly Cosmetics. I'm going to focus on just picking up the highlight. Ooh, yeah, that is gorgeous. Wow. That is absolutely beautiful. That sunk right into my skin as well. Neither the blush or the highlighter are sitting on top of my skin. It just melded in and gave me this really beautiful glow from within, but also is buildable and opaque enough that you can actually build that up to get that scene from space highlight if that's what you prefer. I am going to put a little bit on my nose, a little bit here on my forehead, and my Cupid's bow. I love this. I really do. I love the blush way more than I originally thought when I first applied it. I love the highlighter. When I put the blush on, honestly, I did pick up a little bit of both shades because my brush is a little big to just reach into one, but it's really, really, really beautiful. And that highlighter, I love that it's natural, that it sinks into the skin, but you're also able to build it up if you want a little bit more bold highlight. This is definitely a unique item to my collection. Now, before we start our eye look, I am going to prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I use this every time I do an eye look, so I'm going to prime my eyes and we'll jump into the Mini Dream palette. Now, my goal is to use all of the shades in this palette. So we actually have 3 mattes and 2 shimmers. So we have a really light matte that you can use as a transition shade or to blend your shadows. And then we have a mid-tone taupey colored matte and then a deep dark brown. We also have 2 beautiful shimmers. One that's a little bit deeper that would be beautiful on the lid. And then we have a little bit lighter shimmer that you could use for an inner corner highlight or put it all over the lid. Now, there is one shade in the 5-pan mini palette that is in the MIDI My Dream palette, which I own. All 4 of the other shades are new. So I'm really excited to try this out. Like I said, I want to use all of the shades. I want to use both of the shimmers. I did see one review where they were saying that they didn't think the shimmers, although they look different in the pan, looked that different on the eye. So that is something I definitely want to try out. So with a big fluffy brush, I'm going to pick up our mid-toned taupey matte, and I'm going to use that as my transition shade. So I'm going to pull that into my crease, and because I have hooded eyes, I'm going to pull that a little bit above my crease as well. That way when my eyes are open, you can still see this beautiful matte. This looks really, really nice. It is a taupey shade, but it has a little bit of a pinky purple undertone, which I really, really like. And it's very beautiful. It applied beautifully, blended out. We don't have any patchiness. Really a beautiful crease shade, or you could even use this all over the lid. I love Natasha Denona mattes, how easy they blend out, how opaque they are. They're never patchy, just really easy to use, just really flawless eye looks. Next, I'm going to pick up the deepest matte in the palette, this beautiful kind of brown purple matte. I am going to tap my brush off using a angled brush. I'm going to put that right in my outer corner to deepen that up. Wow, look at that pigmentation. That was one tap in and even tapping my brush off. This shade is stunning. It's brown with a purple base, kind of like a deep dark eggplant base, layering perfectly, absolutely perfectly over that crease shade. I really love that deep dark matte. It's a stunning color. And then using a big fluffy brush, I'm picking up the lightest matte in the palette, and I'm going to use that to blend the edges and just give it that more seamless blended look. And again, this light matte, you could even use this as your transition shade. Whatever your preference is, I do like a little bit deeper transition shade most of the time. And then I like to use, like I said, the lightest matte in the palette to blend and diffuse. I am going to use my NYX glitter glue as always before applying shimmer. I use this every time I do an eye look. I just really feel like it keeps my shimmers in place on my aging eyelids. I am 48, so I do have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. And I feel like the NYX glitter glue just keeps everything in place and prevents it from creasing. Plus you really get the true opacity, true color of those shimmers. Now I do want to apply the shimmers 2 methods, one with my finger, one with a brush. I always like to do that so you guys know whether or not these shimmer shades apply, what method works best. So I'm going to pick up the deeper shimmer in the palette. It's really pretty. Again, it's a taupey brown with a tiny bit of a pinky base. And I'm actually going to put that on the outer 3/4 of my lid, reserving this inner corner for that lighter shimmer. This shade is stunning. It is definitely a shimmery shimmer, a sparkly shimmer, not really an indie wet formula shimmer, but very sparkly and very pretty and really very natural. I am also able to build this up nicely by just tapping back in. I really like that shimmer shade. Now we're going to pick up the lighter one with a pencil style brush because I want to test out brush application versus finger application. I prefer to use my finger, but I know a lot of people don't like to dip their finger into their makeup. So I want to see how it applies with a brush. Ooh, yeah, that is so pretty. It's picking up really easily on a brush. I'm getting a ton of color payoff. I'm going to pull that into that other shimmer just a little bit because like I said, I've been hearing that these don't look very different on the eye, and I want to see what my thoughts are just putting these next to each other and blending them together. So looking at the two shimmers on the eye, I definitely see a difference. This is for sure a deeper shade than the inner corner. Is there a drastic difference? No, but looking at me, you can see that I'm wearing two different colors of shimmer. I don't think they're that close that it looks like I have the same color on my lid. I will give you guys a close-up of my eye look when it's completed, and you can let me know your thoughts on whether those two shimmers are too close and maybe she should have chose something different. I'm going to use that light shimmer as my inner corner highlight. So I am going to just pull that over, and then using that pencil brush, I'm picking up the deep, dark matte, and I'm going to buff that on my lower lash line. And I'm going to stay really close to my lash line because I want to pull in that other shimmer shade on the lower lash line as well. This brown shade is incredible. It is so pigmented, but it blends really easily. I mean, it's crazy, crazy good. And then, like I said, I'm going to go into that shimmer we put all over the lid and just, again, buff that over that brown on the lower lash line. That kind of helps diffuse it out a little bit too, and I do love a shimmery lower lash line. Here's the completed eye look. Let me go ahead and put on some liner and mascara, and I'll be back to share my final thoughts on the Natasha Denona Mini Glow Palette, the My Dream Mini Eyeshadow Palette, and the High Glam Concealer. So here's the completed look for today, and let's go over my thoughts on the new Natasha Denona Mini Dream 5-Pan Palette. I am obsessed with my eye look. I think it's absolutely beautiful. And as I finished getting ready, added just a little bit of liner, mascara. I definitely think that the two shimmers have a variance. Now they're not stark different. They don't have a stark difference, but they definitely, in my opinion, look different enough on the eyes. I think she did a great job curating this palette. You know, I always love a light mid-tone and deep matte, and I love a couple of neutral style shimmers. This is cool toned. It's beautiful. I really, really like this palette. Now, like I said, I do have the midi size My Dream palette. It's one of my favorite. It ranked really high in my eyeshadow palette ranking from last year. I will actually link the midi My Dream down below for you as well as the little mini, but I'm really happy I have this, especially because there's only one shade that is a duplicate from the midi size palette, and this would be fantastic for travel. I actually have a trip coming up in February. I think I'm just going to take this palette with me. That's it. This is all I would have to pack for the entire trip. Speaking of the trip, packing travel, I really like this little glow blush palette. This is so cute. I love the size of it. I love that there's a mirror. I love it more than I thought originally when I first tapped it on my cheeks that I would. I think the blush is beautiful. It sunk into the skin, but gave me this really ethereal look. And the highlighter is a 10 out of a 10. It's absolutely stunning. So for my trip for February, I'm gonna take these two things with me. This is my blush and my highlighter and my eyeshadow for my trip. I love it. And this is unique to my collection. I'm really happy I picked that up. I also think the price point for both of these is really good. The eyeshadow palette is $27 and the little blush highlighter duo is $20. So not bad at all. Now let's chat about the High Glam Concealer. I'll go ahead and insert close-ups of the concealer. The doe foot on this is interesting. It's a typical doe foot, but it has this dip in the middle of it. this concealer, I understand why it has, I understand the rage behind it. This concealer is fantastic. I have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles under my eyes, on my lids. I'm 48, and this did not sink into my fine lines at all. It's creamy, it's beautiful. I even think it gives a little bit of a glow under the eye, but not in a glittery way, just like a natural glow from within. This concealer is fantastic. I'm so happy that I picked it up. It could easily become a favorite for me. I'm going to continue using this. Like I said, I've used it for a couple of weeks, and I'm really, really loving it. I can see why it went viral on TikTok, why it's raved about here on YouTube. It's a fantastic concealer. Purchasing all three of these was an excellent decision. I really love them all. I can't wait to see what Natasha Denona brings out in 2024. I'm really loving these little teeny mini 5-pan palettes. I love her midi-size palettes. I just really, really love this collection. I, of course, will link the concealer down below for you as well. Let me know what you think of this look. Let me know if you're going to pick up the Mini Dream Glow Duo as well as the palette and the concealer. Let me know down below. And if you enjoyed the video, give it a big thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on because I upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. Again, everything is linked down below for you, as well as my favorite beauty subscription boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing in today's video. If you would like to recreate this look, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me on TikTok for a little bit more beauty on a budget. These products was one of the best decisions I've made so far in 2024.